That's all right. We know who you are.
Okay, well, you know who I am. We're not televising it anyway. If they don't know who I am, I'll blame everything we do on somebody else.
All right, good noon, everybody. I have 12 o'clock. All right, with Mr. Cowan and myself, we do have a quorum, so we'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to call this April 3rd, Monday, meeting of the Southwest Regional Water Authority to order. We have confirmation of quorum. Any public comments? None? All right, on to item number 1, consideration of possible action on approval of the March 6th, 2023 board meeting minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a first. In the absence of another board member, I will second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Unheard. Item number 1 passes. Item number 2, General Manager's report. Ms. Gilbert, please.
Mr. President, we have here several of the staff members who's going to present, Mr. Garza and Mr. Rangel, and so the first one up is Joe.
You're getting I check out a real bad reverb up here.
Okay, I'll change the mic as a matter of fact, so you're still getting the feedback?
Can you hear it okay?
I'm okay with it. It is a little like coming from above, but other than that, yeah, say hi.
Hi.
Yeah, it's a little, I think there's a little bounce back, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, okay. Maybe my hearing's not as good as yours. I'm an old guy, give me a break.
All right, go ahead, please.
Mr. President, members of the board, my name is Jose Armando Garza, and I will be presenting the production and distribution report for the month ended February 28, 2023.
Closer to the mic, yeah, thank you.
This is going to be on tab 2 of your board binder. I will start on column C. The year-to-date SRWA water distribution is at 1,044.319 million gallons for an average of 6.916 million gallons per day. The column F, we have the distribution for VPUB, and the year-to-date is 931.734 million gallons for an average of 6.170 million gallons per day. Under column G, we have the distribution for volume number 2, and the year-to-date distribution is at 22.662 million gallons for an average of 0.150 million gallons per day. Under column H, we have the distribution for City of Los Fresnos, and the year-to-date is 65.903 million gallons for an average of 0.436 million gallons per day. Under column I, we have the distribution for B&D, and the year-to-date is 21.931 million gallons per day for an average of 0.145 million gallons per day. The column J, we have the distribution for Indian Lake, order credit, and the year-to-date is 2.089 million gallons for an average of 0.014 million gallons per day. Below that, we have the true-up. As you can see, BPUB is under by 38.54 million gallons. Valley Mud is under by 3.55 million gallons, and Los Fresnos is over by 42.09 million gallons. Any questions up to now? No. Okay, next we have the production distribution for the month of February. And on the third column from your left, we have the total production and blend water. For February, the plant produced 203.264 million gallons for an average of 7.259 million gallons per day. And the column to your far right, that's the total water distributed, and that was at 198.700 for an average of 7.096 million gallons per day. Below that, we have the chemical consumption, chemical costs. On the chemicals, spent 79,423 with 42 cents. And on the electrical, we spent 122,741 with 46 cents. The next page is where staff reports shutdowns that reduced plant's production for February. We didn't have any major shutdowns.
This drop right here on this slide, is that just because February is a short month? Looks like.
Right, that's why. We're missing 3 days of production.
Okay.
And these are, the water production and distribution comparing fiscal year 2022 to fiscal year 2023. And yes, the drop in February is because of the
Yeah, about
third
10%,
month.
yeah.
This next chart shows the water plant production for, the plant production for the 3 water treatment plants for BPUV. As you can see, SRWA is at 31.43% production for the city's water demand. That concludes my report. Are there any questions?
None for me. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Financial?
Monica Cavazos will be presenting the financial
Okay.
performance report.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the board. Monica Cavazos, Director of Finance.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Monica.
We will be looking at the far right column at the year-to-date numbers. Starting with the first line, we see the member assessments year-to-date of $3,371,190. We then back out our operating expenses, personnel of $306,165, materials and supplies of $535,077, repairs and maintenance of $50,444, contractual and other of $653,424, and depreciation expense of $557,635, leaves us operating income of $1,268,445. We then, from this number, we back out our net non-operating expenses of $117,860, gives us a change in net position of $1,150,585. When added to the net position at the beginning of the year of $20,265,360, gives us a net position at the end of the period of $21,415,945. The subsequent pages have the detail for you by account, the budgets versus actuals year to date and for the month. And so these next 2 slides have that detailed information for your review. Does anybody have any questions on the financials?
I do not. Anybody else?
No questions. No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it. Renee? Drought update? We jinxed ourselves.
Good afternoon.
Didn't we jinx ourselves? I knew it.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the board. Quick update on drought. Clearly things have started to warm up. Although we saw some recent rains here the last week or so, which, provided some relief here locally. Unfortunately, not within the reservoirs. Our current level, we're at U.S. combined levels are at 27.9%. When you see that comparison to this time last year, it's a bit lower. Overall, here the last 3 years, clearly we started off lower than we did last year. So we're seeing a trend, again, here in March, we started the ag releases, diversions, and warmer than usual temperatures, a little bit more evaporation. Thus, we're quite a bit lower than we were last year. Just based on projections, we're thinking we're probably hitting stage 2, the latter part of April and maybe, or May. But we're definitely seeing the latter part of April. Just as U.S. seasonal drought outlook for our area, drought will persist at least for the immediate future, the next several months. So that's really it. Bottom line, levels are starting to drop within both reservoirs as a result of, it's that irrigation time of year. So we're starting to see that. We are record lows when compared to, you'd have to go back to 2001 to see in March to see where we're at now. And again, stage 2, very likely we kick that in here at the latter part of April, May. Of course, a lot of it dependent upon weather, what rain events we get here in the immediate future. Water conservation and drought plan, I think we've, at least on the PUB side, we're updating that. We're literally at the tail end of that. We've made a lot of revisions. I think we have one more additional meeting to discuss some, some divergence with our car washes, but then after that, we should be wrapping this up. And we'll probably provide an update to you all next month or so.
Okay. Can
And
you
then
provide
our-
an advance copy of that, please?
Sure.
Before it comes out.
We'll do that. And then our communications and PR folks, they've started to, accelerate their outreach regarding water conservation. Any questions?
Now, just one comment for the record. You said it didn't rain on the reservoirs, but it does. This is SRWA, Renee, right? Every drop of rain here does recharge our groundwater.
Yes.
So hopefully we'll get some more rain this week, right? Maybe next week.
Hopefully.
We should get rain all the way to next Sunday.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath. Let's see. I hope you're right. I hope forecast right. Thank you, Renee.
Thank you.
Bad news as always.
Mr. Chairman,
Bad news, Renee, is I'm going to call you.
I don't know anybody gonna hold their breath up next Sunday anyway.
All right, next up. Is Mr. Garza again? Update on scale inhibitor selection process?
President, members of the board, the scale inhibitor is used to reduce precipitation of iron, silica, and calcium scaling through the membrane. SRWA has been using a product from American Water Chemicals that has specifically been designed for SRWA's well water characteristics. Due to the proprietary nature of the scale inhibitor, no competitive bids have been solicited for this product. In an effort to solicit competitive bids for this product, staff is working on engaging the services of a consultant, Parolo. And we are currently reviewing a professional engineering services proposal to assist staff with the following: the development of bid specifications, responding to bidder questions, and evaluating bids and making recommendations for award of a procurement contract. That's the update.
What's the estimated cost of this effort?
The proposal from Parolo?
Yeah.
It's $15,930.
Okay.
Any other?
And, when do you hope to have this out?
Well, the current contract ends in September of this year, so we plan to do it maybe by, hopefully, we're shooting for July. So we have time for go out for bids and come back to the board with
Okay,
proposals from different bidders.
all right. Any other questions from the board? I appreciate the update. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, update on the purchase of variable frequency drives. That'll.
Mr. President, members of the board.
Hi.
My name is Elias Quintero. I'm the SCADA and Electrical Support Services Manager. Here to provide an update on the SRWA BFD replacement project for high-service pumps 5 and 6. And I apologize, I wasn't here at the last board meeting where this was talked about. I was at the COVID protocol, so I couldn't attend.
Raise the mic a little bit, just right in the mic. Thank you.
Yes. So I understand there were some concerns with the use of the Rockwell software only code that we provided. We did have a justification, that specific board item, due to the fact that we have an entire SCADA system comprised of Rockwell equipment and the SCADA subsite and the software as well. And we wanted to follow that same standard so we can have our electricians and technicians that go do maintenance on these that are familiar with this equipment. So they could have less time when troubleshooting and be able to bring the plant back up when they have certain conditions that make it, difficult to troubleshoot. But following your directive, we did go out and get in contact with 2 other companies that provide this type of service with different brand of BFDs. I've received 1 quote already, and it's about comparable pricing. I have the equipment and installation cost of $294,000 compared to the 3 or 5 same cost type with Rockwell. I am waiting for 1 more person to get back to me. Hopefully by next board meeting, we can have a full report on what those additional costs would be.
That's not a big price difference for making a big change when we went over, so I appreciate the update. Any questions?
I'm fine. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. Keep us updated. That wrap up your report?
Yes, it is.
All right, moving on to item number 3, discussion on amending the bylaws of the Southmost Regional Water Authority. Adams.
President, members of the board, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, great. All right, so my name is Judy Adams. I'm the area manager, and I wanted to present to you today that staff is currently reviewing the bylaws just to make sure that they're up to date. We did find a couple of things, and I wanted to present this to you today. I'm not presenting anything for action, though.
Okay.
It is just to let you know about this. The two potential issues that we identified, one is related to the Texas Open Meeting Act requirements. And if you go to the bylaws,
What page is that on?
it's on page 5,
Page 5.
page 5,
Thank you.
under Open Meetings Act. If you go to paragraph B, the notice of the meeting will be posted on the front entrance of the administrative offices of the Public Utilities Board of the City of Brownsville, which is a public place within the boundaries of the authority and reasonably available to the public. The next line is related to posting at the courthouse. Texas Open Meetings Act is stated a little bit differently, where our bylaws say that we must post it at the courthouse. The Open Meetings Act says we can either post it at the courthouse or have it on our website.
Okay.
So we were wanting to update that to reflect what the Open Meetings Act states.
Okay.
So that's that one issue. Any questions about that?
No, I know the board was still putting it on both, so I don't know.
In the spirit of full disclosure, if it's not too much of an issue, but go ahead and do both if you can.
Okay,
For now.
okay,
You might want to change the wording, say, you have the option to do one of the two and would try to do both. That way you don't lock yourself in and you're still meeting the requirements, but that's just a suggestion.
okay. All right, very good.
I don't want to have anybody who regularly peruses the Cameron County Courthouse, say, where the heck did they go?
Where is it?
I
And
certainly wouldn't cut it
people
out.
are out there, so
I wouldn't
they have
cut
the
it
right
out.
to do so.
I wouldn't cut it out of the website though.
Yeah, I wouldn't take it off the website either, yeah. Okay, anything else?
Yes, there was one other thing, and this has to do with clarification related to the office of the Deputy Secretary Treasurer. And if you go to page 10, at the bottom of that page, you have the duties of the offices.
Okay.
Right? You have got the President, Vice President, Treasurer, Secretary. And you have 3.5, which is related to the Deputy Secretary Treasurer. And this is where the authority may enter into a interlocal agreement with one or more of the governing bodies that it has the right to appoint a director to the authority to provide administrative services to the authority. So in this case, and I guess this would probably come under legal review, I'm not sure, but we have the different offices, and Deputy Secretary Treasurer is the general manager, so she is the Deputy Secretary Treasurer in our case. And so I wanted to explicitly state that the Deputy Secretary Treasurer does not have to conform to the qualifications that are listed for the directors, which if you look on page 3, sorry, having you flip around, but
Sorry.
on page 3, you have the qualifications of the directors that are appointed to the board. And these qualifications in subparagraph D states that, which is an excerpt from the Enabling Act, 3C of the Enabling Act, which states in part, no person shall be appointed a director unless he resides in and owns taxable property in the city or the district from which he is appointed. And my recommendation would be to make sure that the Deputy Secretary Treasurer does not have to follow the qualifications of the directors. And this is also a non-voting officer. That would be my recommendation.
The Deputy Secretary Treasurer right now is you, right?
Right,
Okay.
yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Okay. So again, this is no action required, and we'll go forward and put some language to reflect that and bring it back to you for approval.
So, Mr. President and members of the committee, I just want to make for clarification. At this time, my understanding is we're following the Texas Open Meetings Act. And one of the reasons I had asked staff to do this review is to look at the various different, the bylaws with the act and ensure that the committee policies and procedures were for SRWA were all in alignment. And we are not currently posting at the courthouse. I think some of the comments I heard was that, people were posting through the courthouse said something like that, and maybe staff can tell me something different.
We were doing it up until COVID, and then we had stopped the meetings, and that was not resumed. We did post it for this meeting, but there was a lapse in posting it at the courthouse.
Let's not make a mountain out of a molehill, whatever y'all decide, fine with me.
Right,
As long as we're meeting the guidelines of the Open Meetings Act, then
right. And that is the intent, is to make sure that we are uniform and with the act with by my laws. And so we're making the uniformity of the changes on here. And I think the other one of the clarification of mine, I think it had to do, was it, I should not be, something about you were explaining to me was the number was.
Yeah, that was on page 3, under subsection D. These are the qualifications for each of the directors that are appointed to the SRWA board. But you have to be in
Yeah,
the
it does
city.
say that no employee of a city or district should be attorney.
Right, that was the employee of the city, which I am an employee of the city, which is the reason for the change.
So I don't know if that's a conflict or not. I don't care.
Yeah,
Okay, so
Thanks, Don. That's.
I agree.
qualifications to be a board member of that sort of, you must reside in the area.
These are the qualifications, right?
But
They must,
For the other positions.
all the director positions are,
Must reside
right.
in the area. Is that the only qualification?
no, there's a qualification that they need to be an officer of the governing body.
An officer of the governing body.
Right. So the officer of the governing body, for example, Ms. Hernandez, she is here for Los Fresnos. She is alderman, council, a council. And right here, we've got Mr. Cowan, who's on,
Chair of the board.
right, and you're here.
Take that's, sometimes I'm a commissioner and, sometimes I'm eating cheese, sometimes I am the cheese, so,
So that is written in the enablement.
In the name of that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That wraps up number 3. That leads us to next board meeting.
First Monday of the month for me.
I do want to bring up, if there's any questions on the Enabling Act, and now at times there have been other members. I've seen Mr. Fry, who's representing Valley Mud, in here. This would be the time that we could change the Enabling Act, and I could entertain something like that where an appointee of the governing body could appoint to this SRWA board, or I will leave that up to discussion of the 3 members right now, if that would be something that we should be able to pursue.
Yeah, and would we need authority from the governing bodies that are in order to do so, or can we do that internally and then we have to present that to them? In other words, would have to bring this up to BPB, would you have to bring this up to port, we should have to bring this up to.
If I would imagine the 3 governing bodies or 4, however many would come to, let's say we were to this, because now you're changing legislation right now, they're in session.
Yeah.
So this would be the time to actually write an amendment. There is another organization that we were recently contacted with East Rio Hondo, not impacting this here, and they're in the process of changing the appointees as well. So I'm assuming it's the same way as that one member takes on the lead, and then from there works with the rest of the other memberships to allow that. Now, that's something that, I think this would be appropriate time to discuss if that's something this member wishes, that if to rotate the membership or to leave other members here.
Why don't we give the board, we take the time to review it ourselves
Yeah.
right now, go back to our representative agency or specific agencies, and also keep it on the agenda for next month so that
Will do.
we can discuss it.
You
Go ahead.
give me I couldn't understand what Marilyn was saying. I don't know if it's my hearing or if it's the position I'm sitting.
Marilyn, you want to use this mic?
I'm just trying to figure out exactly what we're talking.
I'm not sure what it is, maybe it's the pitch of my voice.
think that's, for some reason, that's coming at a lower pitch. I don't know why it's.
Okay, so the intent of it is that the Enabling Act right now says the people that can be elected to this board have to be a member of the governing body. By member of the governing body is so with the elected official.
But I can't hear you. I'm sorry. I've just I'm wearing hearing aids and I'm really trying.
So the member of the governing body would have to be one of the elected officials or appointees because PUB is appointed
To
officials.
be a board member, you have to be a member of the governing body you're representing. Okay.
So the intent here is there's other times that if the governing bodies want to have other members to be part of the person who's sitting up in the chair, the SRWA member or vice chair, then the governing body can elect another another person. For example, a past member or a member of the organization they want to represent as a member. So that's what the intent is, to leave it open for discussion, discuss with the various bodies, take it back and say, hey, do we want to leave it the way it is right now? Or do we want to change the legislature at this time? And so it has to be an elected official, or it could be somebody else who has knowledge of the system.
Follow it? In other words, we're talking about the possibility of opening up membership, or maybe you being replaced by somebody that is, or me, or Mr. Nuns, that is not necessarily an officer of the represented agency. In other words, if the governing agency, for example, in this my case, PUB, decides to appoint somebody else instead of a board member, they can't do that right now. Okay, now that's up to us to decide whether we would like that, or not like that, or open that up to past board members, et cetera. That's all.
Here's the thing. I think that there's the city of Los Fresnos, all these other entities that have a financial interest in this.
Yeah.
That they should have a seat on the board.
That's not what's up for debate. The discussion is whether or not the person who is going to sit in that chair would have to be a member of the governing body's board. Or could it be something like, for example, a local expert?
Or somebody that work in the plant.
Or somebody that works in the
or-
plant. In other words, the board, their governing body would still have the authority to appoint whoever they want. They just wouldn't have to be a board member.
So we could send our finance director instead of me here.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't choose the finance director. Well, if you want, sure. I would choose
Board director.
somebody with, somebody with direct experience related to whatever we're going to be talking about. If it's finance, then that would be your choice. Yeah, and that would give you the flexibility to, and you could possibly even point a backup, right? In the case that we're not.
Alternate.
An alternate, yeah.
Because, if I'm gonna be out of town, I want somebody else.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking to Marilyn about.
I
last month.
tried doing that in the past, and they said, no, they're not qualified to do it, so they didn't. So-
Yeah, and so if we change that, so why don't we look over the bylaws? Why don't we go back to our representative agencies, we're discussing this as a possibility. I don't see anybody with any agenda here whatsoever, just trying to make it more
It's
flexible.
okay with me.
So we can come up with a draft agenda also and not necessarily take it. So we can say language, an alternate or other membership or past members, past commissioners, past mayor or whoever. But the governing body still has to appoint that individual. So it's not like an automatic where whoever it is that membership takes action to be the representative of the SRWA board.
They still have full control over who's appointed. It's just opening up their choices as who they could
Right.
appoint to this body. Okay, thank you. I think that's an excellent idea and something we'll consider. Please keep it on the agenda for next month. So
Does that mean that somebody from my board, who's the chairman on my board,
Mhm.
does the appointing?
yes,
That means that he could appoint somebody that's not on the board today to the board instead of me.
well, I met, so your board does not vote on that appointment? He or she gets to decide?
He just appoints.
I think that's internal to your operation. And for PUB, the chair can make an appointment, any board member can make an appointment, and we have to vote to approve it. That might be time to.
The chairman appoints all the committees
Okay,
and then you accept it or
don't.
reject it, but he appoints them.
well, it might be a good opportunity for all of us to do some,
We just
checking
need
on
to
the
run,
condition,
run.
yeah, condition of our, how that would mesh with this. I think it's an excellent idea. Thank you, staff, for responding. I did not initiate this, but I was having some discussion with Marilyn last month about what the qualifications are for board members, because there are going to be some big decisions coming up in the next several months. And I think that's important for us to be able to have constant, consistent membership representation from each of the agencies. In the event you're not here, or somebody else is not here, or somebody's sick, we need to be able to have an alternate, as well as the possibility of saying, hey, we could have an alternate technical expert. And hey, you go this time because this is happening. I think that's a great idea. So we'll consider it. And if we want to take action on it, maybe change the wordings, we can have discussion and possible action next time. See where we go. Excellent. Next meeting was, we said, the first month of May, or the first day of May, was May 1st.
May 1st, I believe. I don't have my calendar in front of me.
Sorry, I got the calendar here.
You got
May
the calendar.
1st, I'm good with that. You good?
Okay,
Board meeting is May 8th, PUV board meeting is May 8th, so I'm good.
okay.
With May
So
1st.
May 1st works for everybody. Everybody here, we're good.
All right. Then that wraps up number 4.
I will say, I will not be here at the next May 1st meeting, but Mike will be here. I do have a business to outside of that.
Well, you let us know if you want to be here, so we can change it.
But we're good and we will continue, but
I know how excited you are about these meetings, and you don't want to miss them for the world. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll take
First and a second. Any further comment or discussion, or forever hold your peace? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Very good.
Short,
Give me the putting ballot by 1:30 meeting.
All about making things up.